Hey friends, welcome to another episode of ZBrush on the iPad. So this time I had a question from one of my subscribers about how one might add armor to a character. First of all, props to the creator of this model, ZModeler Grigoriev, or however you say that. Sorry for butchering your name, but thanks for the model. So to start out, we want to add some geometry to the character. Let's say we're building a chest plate. Okay. Now we can see just from rotating it that it starts to get faceted, which means that this character, this model, is built up of multiple subdivision levels, which is indeed the case. So we want to delete the lower subdivision levels. And then we're going to grab our insert meshes, just that first one. We want the QCube, I believe. Yep. Grab that and just start to draw onto the surface. Now you can see the background character grayed out. That's because he's masked now, and we're able to work with these. So if they weren't exactly in the right position, you're welcome to rework that. So now that we're happy with the positioning of our cubes, let's go ahead and separate them or split them. So we're gonna hit split unmasked or split masked. It doesn't really matter. We'll hit masked. So now the ones that were unmasked is the subtool that is selected. We'll turn on polyframe so we can see our topology. I like to work with just, flat polygons like a plane. So I'm gonna delete some of these. So I've got ZModeler on my favorites. I'm going to go to the polygon actions and delete. Then I'm going to choose poly loop, and I want to delete this loop here. And you can see that little orange line tells me which direction the poly loop is going to go. So that might look like we're done, but there's actually polygons down here. So we need to delete these as well. And in order to see these, we need to go to display properties and flip them. There we go. Now got the right side of these polygons facing the camera. I'm just going to grab my move brush real quick here and move things around a bit just to get this party started. All right, now back to ZModeler. And one of my favorite brushes or functions of the ZModeler brush is this edge, this Extrude Move here. So we're just going to go to normal, the first option, smart attraction, and then as I pull an edge over, you can see that it's floating there. It's gone underneath the skin a little bit, but we'll address that shortly. Let's turn on transparency so we can see that a little better. But I can move that since I have my point mode set to move. I'm going to move these around. If I want to bring these out of the surface, I hold down Alt and then move. And then you'll find that point where they bust out of the surface. And then get that right as it busts out, then you know that you are pretty tight up there against the skin, which is where we want to be. Alrighty. Let's pull down some more geometry. You could wait to adjust, the depth of this stuff, but no time like the present, right? Let's stitch these together with bridge on the edge action. 1, 2. You just first edge, second edge. I'm glad that this works despite the fact that we are in symmetry mode. It's creating a new polygroup, which is fine, doesn't matter. Go back to edge move, and then we're going to pull this down. Feel free to go into a side view. It might help you move things around a little bit better and then see how it's forming to the underlying character all important things. Whoops. Okay. Yeah, I've still got my polygon set to move. I'm just gonna turn that to do nothing for now. Just gonna focus on edges and points. Okay, pull that out. Starting to round it around the bottom of the chest or the pecs, whatever you want to call them. Man anatomy. Bring this one in, and I'm tapering it a little bit because I want to create a edge that is going to be pretty defined that goes, you know, under the pecs. Okay. Let's round this out a little bit. You know, you could do something fancy up here, I guess, if you were so inclined. What we got going on here? Oh, this hasn't happened to me in a little while, but somehow I did some keyboard shortcuts that printed the subtool to the screen. To get rid of that, you go up to Settings, Draw, I believe. Nope. Canvas, Clear. There we go. That was one of those. Okay. But yeah, let's just say we wanted to do something fancy here. Gonna go back to bridge these two sides together. Okay, now we're got kind of a straight piece up there, which is kind of cool. Now I'm going to use my edge, you know, the Extrude Move some more. Bring this down, bring this guy down, and, you know, have fun with it. And you can see that I'm already starting to shape the top of what might be the, you know, the rib cage form. Maybe that shouldn't go as far down there. Okay, now how do we get these two together? Well, you gotta choose Stitch on the point actions mode. 1, 2. First point, second point. Bring this down, and that down. Trying to move some stuff around. Sometimes it doesn't like to, oh, because I'm not on move. There we go. Whoop. Again, it didn't want to snap quite right, so change this temporarily over to Stitch. Point 1, point 2, stitch together. And just so you know, the second point on the default settings is the one that it will weld to, stitch to. I'm gonna start bringing out the pecs a little bit, and let's turn off transparency mode so I can see what's going on. But again, holding down Alt is moving these points away from the geometry, the mesh. You know, maybe we want that more drastic. Up curvature going on. And again, this is nice that we're just one polygon thick, right? Because otherwise, if I had thickness on this, I wouldn't have the flexibility to move things around and be certain that I'm not pushing, you know, polygons into each other and what have you. Let's go back to ZModeler, got the Extrude Move. Whoops, sometimes. And this, similar to the chest, is going to have some depth. Go back to transparency, but give it a little depth, at least for part of it. And then we're going to go straight down, snappy snap, snap, bridge, bring those together. Come on. All right. One bridge. There we go. Okay, now we fill in this area here. Can do that with Extrude Move. Bring that down and maybe, yeah. Let's go to bridge again. Talking to myself as always. Yeah, let's stitch this to that. Okay, and go back to move mode. You know, and you can get super fast at this. I will say it's definitely harder when you're trying to talk. Like chewing gum with while you're trying to walk, right? Possible, but not a great. Subtle, not so subtle, kind of subtle termination of the bottom of the rib cage shape there. Pull this middle one down. Let's bring this together. Oh, we got it to snap to both sides. Good, good, good. Snap it. Yep, we got her. Got her good. So I'm not worrying too terribly much about the overall shape of this armor right now, because I'm going to do that in a subsequent step. Let's bridge this piece together. Good. Okay. So I think I've got the geometry I want for the general overall shape of this armor. I mean, maybe there's an argument that it's pretty narrow, so I'm hearing you. We'll fix that. Let's do that. Again, to Extrude Move. Pull this out. Bada bing. That guy. This guy. Wrap it around the chest a bit more. You know, gonna have to hold down Alt, pull that out of the chest. The geometry. Okay, let's continue with our extension. Pretty quick. Okay, now turn off transparency. Let's turn on our gizmo so that we can move the entire thing forward, the entire armor piece. Still some areas that are inside of the model, so maybe we'll bump it out a little bit more. And then with our move brush, hold down Alt, and we know generally where those are, but sometimes it won't let you select things when you're in transparency mode. It's just too deep. It's trying to do you a favor. You know, it might help you to turn off perspective for some of this, so that when you're snapping to some of these orthographic views, you're seeing a true orthographic side perspective as opposed to one with some perspective on it, which for this kind of stuff, this type of modeling, sculpting, can mess you up a little bit. It's kind of like I planned this little racing stripe down the middle, but I can assure you I did not. Settings on that bridge tool within the ZModeler brush. Okay, so let's fix that. Go to polygroups, group visible. Now it's all one color, and we can see what's going on. Okay, let's try a different matte cap here, one with just a little bit of reflection, so we can kind of see how it's looking in different scenarios. Find one that you like. Let's go with this. Oh, you can see I got a random floating polygon. So we want to delete that guy. Delete. Just a single poly. And boom, there he goes. Let's turn on visibility. Well, display properties, double. Just so if there's any more of those, we'll see them. Looks like we're clean. Gonna give this some shaping. And the fact that we're, using ZModeler primarily to build this makes it easy to get a pretty clean shape, silhouette, whatever you want to call it, for your armor. Okay, now I want to give this like a poly loop all the way around, because that'll help hold the form a little better, as well as give it some thickness without really giving it some thickness. That makes sense, which it probably doesn't. So let's go to ZModeler. We're going to go to Edge, Extrude Move. This time we're going to do Mesh Border, because it's only got one mesh there. Let's go ahead and pull on one of those. Oh, we got to make sure we're selecting an edge, not a polygon. Pull on that, and it just pulls straight back. So now we've got a nice poly loop that goes around the entire model. Okay, so that is nice. So now, technically I don't have to actually extrude it and give this thing thickness, especially if I'm just using this for like rendering or animation purposes. If you were 3D printing it, you would eventually want everything to have a thickness. It can't just be a single polygon in thickness or depth. So I've been using Move brush to massage the shape of this thing, this armor, but you can use any of your sculpting brushes. Let's say we wanted to use Dam Standard to cut in a little deeper here. Well, there we go. We did that. Or we want to bring out this edge, hold down Alt, same brush, brush it on those edges, and it'll pop out. Let's see how this is looking in dynamic subdivision mode, shall we? So geometry, dynamic subdiv, turn that on, maybe crank it up a step or two, gives us some smoothness, looking sweet, but it's a little soft. I want this armor to be a little tighter. So back to ZModeler brush, and we're going to insert some edge loops. We'll click in here, and this got a little wonky because we are on symmetry, but symmetry has obviously broken somewhere a little bit, so whoops, and I just with my fat hand hit undo on with the keyboard or with the screen gestures. So you can see I'm just accentuating some of these edges to give the shape I'm looking for. Okay. And then around the entire border, you can drop in a couple of edge loops to tighten that up as well. Let's turn off polyframe. Look at that. It could be cleaned up a little bit, but all in all, some pretty sharp looking, clean, low poly armor, which is what we like. Let's make this look a little more real world. So with this character model selected, I'm gonna go here to my menu, MRGB, so material and the color. And then I'm going to, well, let's just do it this way. Click here, fill object. So now this character will stay the same material and color. Now if I select this, you can see this doesn't darken out. That means it's got, you know, information about the material and color. So now I'm going to pick a different material, something that looks kind of cool, metallic. Z metal, a little too much. We'll just do that. Okay, so this way we're able to see, you know, we've got these extra sharp lines that we're not digging and stuff. But as you'll recall, my symmetry's off. Before we go any further, I'm going to turn off dynamic subdiv, go down to modify topology, just hit that mirror and weld. That'll just bring us back into symmetry. And then back on up, turn dynamic subdiv back on, and we're back in business. I want to darken my character so I can give him a darker color, and then fill object. There we go. Kind of too close to the color of this situation. Oh, and we turn back. We have it set to metal, so that would explain part of the problem. Freaking A. Fill object. Okay, back to this one. Go back to our metallic silver foil. That's kind of nice. And then fill object. So now we're in business. Okay. So now I can use my sculpting tools, like just gonna grab standard and then hold down shift up at the top to smooth out some of these errant lines that we don't want. You know, got to be kind of careful. Maybe try H polish as well. That will polish things better sometimes, or smooth them out better, or hard surface type stuff. Something to be aware of. Or you can certainly turn down the amount of power your smooth has by holding down smooth and this menu and bringing down the Z intensity a little bit. Some of this needs to be kind of smoothed out. Too much going on over here. Alrighty. And because this is still low poly, I'm able to do a lot. And it's hard to see a little bit with what's going on, so let's change to RGB only. And then we're actually the other one, material only. And then we're gonna fill the object. Okay, so now I can see going on a little better here. The metallic was fun and informative, but didn't, in some ways made it harder to see. I'm using H polish, gonna smooth some areas out. We can grab pinch, maybe you want to turn on polyframe again. Just bring some of these points closer together. Give yourself more sharp edge wherever you do this at. So, you know, use it sparingly because it is powerful. Okay, you can see we've sharpened that up. And I dare say that that is a halfway decent armor. Oh. No material, no. There we go. So, decent armor. Areas could be better. You know, play with your brushes like a clay. See, that looked nigh unto perfect in the last material, but this one's not as forgiving. And this is what the ultimate finish would be closest to, so you do have to pay attention to this stuff. Yeah, I'll see this looking squishy because these are creating a weird shape. When in doubt, use your H polish. All right, so there you go. That's my process for creating armor in ZBrush on the iPad with ZModeler. Till next time, keep on creating.